True strength is not proven by conflict but by restraint. Anyone can react when provoked, anyone can strike back when insulted, and anyone can shout when they are shouted at. That requires no discipline and no depth of character. But the true test of a person's strength is their ability to remain calm in the face of agitation, to stay composed when everything around them pushes for a reaction, and to hold their peace when anger begs to be expressed. Restraint is not weakness. It is the highest demonstration of maturity and control. A person who cannot govern their emotions becomes a slave to every situation, tossed around by the moods of others. But the one who can hold their ground without being shaken reveals a strength that cannot be measured in muscles or weapons, but only in the depth of their character. When you are provoked, something inside you rises up and demands satisfaction. The natural instinct is to respond in equal measure, to return insult for insult and attack for attack. Yet the moment you give in to that instinct, you surrender your control to the one who provoked you. They now become the master of your emotions because they can pull you into a battle you never chose. The ability to resist that pull, to deny someone the power to control your reaction, is where true strength lies. Restraint means you are the one who decides how you will respond, not your enemy, not your critic, not your circumstances. It is self-mastery at its highest level. Restraint has been mistaken by many as weakness, as though silence in the face of insult means fear, or gentleness in the face of aggression means cowardice. But only those who are weak need to prove their strength by force. The one who knows their power has no need to display it in every situation. Think of the lion in the wild. It does not roar at every small animal that crosses its path. It does not chase every sound in the forest. It knows it is king, and its silence speaks louder than its roar. In the same way, when you know your worth, your identity, and your power, you are free to remain composed, for you have nothing to prove to anyone. Life will always present situations where people will test your patience, challenge your peace, and provoke your emotions. If you react to every one of them, you will live a life of constant warfare. But when you practice restraint, you rise above the pettiness of conflict and preserve your energy for what truly matters. Every battle is not worth fighting. Some victories come not by conquering others, but by conquering yourself. When you hold your peace, you protect your focus. When you remain calm, you maintain clarity. And with clarity, you are able to make decisions that secure your future rather than sabotage it in the heat of the moment. Restraint is also a shield of dignity. When others lose their composure and rage and anger, the one who stands in calmness rises above the noise. People may forget the words spoken in anger, but they will never forget the image of one who remained unshaken in the midst of chaos. That kind of presence commands respect, even from enemies. You may not win their friendship, but you will earn their recognition. For nothing disarms an adversary more than a person who refuses to be dragged into foolishness. To practice restraint requires inner discipline. It demands that you train your mind to pause before reacting, to measure your words before speaking, and to choose silence when silence is more powerful than response. This is not easy because human nature is quick to defend, quick to retaliate, quick to prove a point. But strength is not in doing what is easy. Strength is in doing what is necessary for growth, for peace, and for lasting victory. Those who live by reaction remain prisoners of other people's actions. But those who live by restraint become masters of their own destiny. For they understand that real battles are not won by noise, argument, or fists. They are won in the quiet strength of a disciplined soul, a mind that cannot be shaken, and a heart that refuses to be enslaved by anger. That is why restraint is not just a sign of strength, it is the essence of it. The battlefield is not outside, it is within. Every conflict you face in life begins long before it shows up in your circumstances. The real war is fought in the quiet corners of your mind, in the hidden chambers of your heart, in the silent conversations you have with yourself when no one else can hear. If you lose there, you will lose everywhere else, because the external battles are only reflections of the internal wars already taking place within you. When a person cannot govern their thoughts, they will be enslaved by fear, doubt, jealousy, and anger. These inner enemies are more destructive than any external force because they attack from the inside out. The one who conquers themselves has already won before the fight even begins. The mind is the control center of your life. Every decision you make, every word you speak, every action you take begins as a thought. If your thoughts are filled with bitterness, fear, and confusion, your life will express those same things in your relationships, your work, and your future. But if your thoughts are disciplined, ordered, and aligned with peace, your actions will naturally follow that direction. The battlefield is not about swords or weapons. It is about what ideas you allow to dominate your thinking. You cannot walk in victory with a defeated mind. That is why every great battle must first be won in the unseen realm of your inner world before it manifests outwardly in the seen world. Emotions are also part of this battlefield. Anger, resentment, pride, and insecurity are forces that fight for control over your choices. How many lives have been destroyed because a single moment of uncontrolled anger led to a decision that could never be undone? How many relationships have ended? How many opportunities have been lost, not because of an external enemy, but because of an internal lack of discipline? When you cannot master your emotions, you give them permission to master you. But when you discipline your heart, when you train yourself to remain steady in the face of emotional storms, you gain an advantage that no enemy can take away from you. The heart and mind together create the environment of your inner life. If your inner world is filled with turmoil, it will not matter how peaceful your surroundings are. You will always feel like you are in a battle. On the other hand, if your inner world is filled with peace, it will not matter how chaotic your environment becomes. You will carry calmness with you wherever you go. This is why some people can walk into a storm and remain composed, while others collapse even in times of calm. The difference is not the situation. The difference is the mastery of the inner battlefield. To win within requires intentional practice. It means you do not allow every thought to find a home in your mind. You must become the gatekeeper of your imagination, choosing carefully what you dwell on, what you feed yourself mentally, and what voices you allow to influence you. Every negative thought that is entertained becomes a seed planted in the soil of your heart. If you water it with attention, it will grow until it dominates your life. But if you uproot it immediately and replace it with a thought of peace, faith, and clarity, you disarm it before it ever has a chance to become strong. The greatest victories are often invisible because they happen in those small moments when you decide to reject fear, when you choose to forgive instead of hate, when you silence insecurity with the voice of confidence. No enemy outside can defeat you if you have already conquered yourself. This is why two people can face the same challenge, yet one is broken while the other rises above it. It is not the size of the problem that determines the outcome, but the state of the inner battlefield. When your mind is steady and your heart is anchored, you can withstand storms, insults, failures, and betrayals without losing your identity. But if you are unstable within, the smallest conflict can destroy you because you are already at war with yourself. Winning within does not mean you will never feel fear, anger, or doubt. It means you will not allow those feelings to dictate your life. They may visit you, but they will not control you. They may knock on the door of your heart, but you will not let them stay. That kind of mastery is the foundation of silent victory, because the one who rules themselves is stronger than the one who rules nations. When you win in the mind and heart, the battles outside become far smaller, for you carry an authority that cannot be shaken by circumstances. The real battlefield has always been within, and whoever conquers it has already secured victory in every other arena of life. Wars are fought with swords and guns, but true victories are achieved through strategy, patience, and wisdom. Force can win a battle for a moment, but wisdom secures triumph for a lifetime. Many people believe that strength is found in aggression, in shouting louder, striking harder, or pushing further than the other person. Yet history has shown time and again that brute force may win a fight, but it rarely wins peace. Wisdom, on the other hand, has the ability to silence conflict before it begins, to dismantle opposition without violence, and to turn enemies into allies without a single blow. A person of wisdom sees beyond the immediate moment and understands that every action carries consequences, and it is those consequences, not the action itself, that determine whether you have truly won. Wisdom knows when to speak and when to remain silent. There are moments when silence can end an argument more powerfully than words ever could. There are times when one carefully chosen word can redirect a heated conversation, ease tension, and bring calm where there was chaos. The unwise person believes they must always respond, always defend, always prove themselves right. But wisdom recognizes that not every statement deserves a reply, and not every attack deserves an answer. Sometimes silence communicates dignity, self-control, and authority in a way that arguments never can. To be silent when provoked is not to surrender, but to demonstrate mastery over oneself and over the situation. Wisdom also knows when to act and when to wait. Patience is a weapon many overlook, yet it has ended more battles than swords ever have. Acting too quickly can lead to unnecessary conflict, but waiting with discernment allows situations to reveal themselves, opponents to expose their own weaknesses, and truth to come to light without you having to force it. The wise person understands that time often becomes the greatest ally. Instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, wisdom teaches you to pause, to observe, and to make decisions not out of emotion but out of clarity. That kind of restraint is not hesitation, it is strategic positioning. True wisdom is also rooted in perspective. While the unwise see only the surface of a situation, wisdom looks deeper to uncover motives, hidden dynamics, and long-term effects. For example, two people may appear to be in conflict over a single issue, but wisdom may reveal that the issue is not the real problem, only a symptom of something deeper. By addressing the root rather than the surface, wisdom resolves conflict at its source, instead of fighting endless battles over symptoms. This deeper vision allows the wise to achieve lasting peace while the unwise continue to fight temporary wars. Wisdom transforms enemies into teachers. Every conflict, every challenge, every adversary carries within it a lesson. Instead of wasting energy on retaliation, wisdom asks, what can I learn from this? How can this experience make me stronger, smarter, and more prepared for the future? By extracting lessons from difficulties, the wise person grows while others only become bitter. In this way, even defeat becomes victory, because it provides knowledge that no weapon could ever supply. The unwise chase after the temporary satisfaction of proving themselves, but wisdom seeks the lasting reward of peace, growth, and influence. A person who always chooses to fight may win recognition for their strength, but a person who chooses wisdom gains honor for their character. Influence is far greater than intimidation. Influence lasts long after the conflict is over, shaping hearts, minds, and even generations. That is why wisdom always outweighs weapons. It not only ends conflict, but also builds a foundation for future stability. Wisdom requires humility, because only the humble are willing to pause, to listen, and to learn before acting. Pride rushes into battle, convinced that force alone will guarantee victory, but humility waits, studies, and applies understanding with precision. This is why a single wise decision can save years of unnecessary conflict, while one foolish reaction can create years of unnecessary struggle. Wisdom chooses the long-term outcome over the short-term satisfaction of winning an argument or proving superiority. The one who walks in wisdom cannot be easily defeated, because their strength does not lie in outward display but in inner clarity. Weapons can break, power can shift, and strength can fade, but wisdom endures. It is a shield that no enemy can penetrate and a sword that no opponent can match. To live with wisdom is to win without war, to achieve silent victories that leave no scars but establish unshakable foundations. That is why wisdom will always outweigh weapons, and why those who embrace it walk in a level of victory the world cannot understand. Peace is the greatest weapon of war. Most people misunderstand the concept of power, thinking that strength lies in the ability to fight, to dominate, and to force others to submit. Yet real power is the ability to remain unshaken in the face of conflict, to stand firm while others rage, and to influence outcomes without aggression. When you refuse to fight fire with fire, you disarm the enemy in a way that no sword or weapon ever could. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of mastery over yourself, your emotions, and your reactions. A person who carries peace within is untouchable by the chaos of the world, for their calmness becomes a force that shifts the atmosphere wherever they go. Many people waste their energy reacting to provocations, shouting louder, arguing harder, or striking back when offended. They believe that confrontation will assert their power, but the opposite is true. Each reaction gives away control. Every time you engage in unnecessary conflict, you hand the battlefield to someone else, because now your emotions dictate your actions. Peace, however, is a weapon of restraint. It allows you to see beyond the immediate moment, to assess the situation with clarity, and to respond with purpose rather than impulse. When you are rooted in peace, you become immune to manipulation, immune to anger, and immune to fear. Peace disarms the aggressor because it denies them the satisfaction of a response. Think of someone who tries to provoke anger in another only to be met with silence, calm, and dignity. Their power over that person evaporates instantly. You cannot be controlled by someone who refuses to react to control. The enemy may speak harsh words, act with malice, or attempt to provoke a quarrel, but peace renders their efforts ineffective. It is a weapon that operates invisibly, quietly, and effectively, leaving no visible scars, but achieving profound results. Beyond disarming others, peace also protects your own life and mind. Anger, resentment, and retaliation consume the one who harbors them. They destroy clarity, weaken judgment, and open the door to mistakes that cannot be undone. When you respond to aggression with aggression, you perpetuate a cycle that leaves both parties damaged. But when you respond with peace, you break the cycle. Your calmness neutralizes hostility, preserves your energy, and positions you to act strategically when necessary. Peace does not mean passivity, it means control, wisdom, and the ability to navigate conflict with precision. Peace is also a weapon because it creates influence. People are drawn to those who remain composed under pressure, those whose presence brings calm rather than chaos. Leadership is not proven by the ability to shout louder or fight harder. It is proven by the ability to inspire trust, respect, and admiration even in difficult times. When you walk in peace, you attract allies and neutralize opposition without ever raising a hand. The one who embodies peace becomes a magnet for cooperation, respect, and eventual victory, while those who rely on force alone often find themselves isolated and resisted. The power of peace lies in its invisibility. It is not flashy, it is not loud, and it does not seek recognition. Yet it works with precision, creating outcomes that anger and aggression never can. Wars can rage and destroy, but peace can accomplish more with subtlety. A person grounded in peace can negotiate, persuade, and lead with a strength that cannot be challenged, because it is not rooted in force but in control. Peace allows for strategy to unfold, for plans to reach fruition, and for relationships to heal, all while the world around is caught up in chaos. Peace also cultivates patience and foresight. A peaceful mind is not hurried or impulsive. It evaluates, analyzes, and responds only when necessary. Impatience fuels conflict, while patience creates opportunity. A person who is anchored in peace sees the end game while others are trapped in the heat of the moment. They understand that not every battle must be fought, and not every insult requires retaliation. By holding peace as a weapon, they save their strength for the moments that truly matter, and in doing so, they achieve victories that appear effortless to the outside world. Finally, peace strengthens character. It builds resilience, humility, and wisdom. It teaches you to rise above pettiness, to forgive when wronged, and to lead when challenged. Those who understand the power of peace realize that the greatest victories are not measured by the destruction of others, but by the preservation of self, the transformation of circumstances, and the attainment of goals without compromising integrity. In this way, peace becomes more than a strategy. It becomes a lifestyle, a mindset, and the ultimate weapon in the art of silent victory. Victory without scars is the highest achievement. Most people measure success by the battles they have fought and the enemies they have defeated, believing that to win there must be blood, pain, and visible struggle. Yet the greatest victories in life are those that leave no wounds, no bitterness, no lingering consequences. True mastery is the ability to achieve your goals without destruction, to overcome opposition without harming others, and to triumph in a way that preserves dignity, relationships, and peace. This kind of victory requires a level of discipline, foresight, and self-control that few are willing to cultivate, but it is the hallmark of those who understand the deeper principles of life and power. The first principle of victory without scars is patience. Impulsive action often leads to mistakes, conflict, and regret. When you rush into a fight, whether it is literal or metaphorical, you risk inflicting harm not only on others but on yourself. Words spoken in anger can damage relationships that may never recover. Decisions made in haste can close doors that might have opened with careful timing. By exercising patience, you allow situations to unfold naturally, giving you the opportunity to respond with wisdom rather than reaction. Patience enables you to observe, assess, and act strategically, ensuring that your victories come without unnecessary collateral damage. Another key to achieving scarless victory is understanding the nature of power. Many people believe that power is demonstrated by the ability to control others through force, intimidation, or aggression. True power, however, lies in influence, in the capacity to inspire, guide, and transform situations without resorting to conflict. When you approach challenges from a position of inner authority rather than external dominance, you can accomplish far more with far less struggle. Your presence alone, your composure, and your integrity can resolve conflicts that others would try to fight with harsh words or hostile actions. This is why those who possess real power rarely need to engage in open battles. They win simply by the way they carry themselves and the clarity of their vision. Self-control is also essential in achieving victory without scars. It is easy to react when wronged, to strike back when insulted, or to argue when challenged. But each reaction carries a cost. Unchecked emotions lead to regret, broken relationships, and a trail of consequences that may last a lifetime. Mastery over your own mind and heart allows you to act deliberately, to respond with intention rather than emotion, and to achieve outcomes that preserve your dignity while neutralizing opposition. Those who can govern themselves are rarely defeated, for they do not give others the power to dictate their actions or disturb their peace. Wisdom plays a critical role as well. To win without scars, you must understand the long-term effects of every action. It is not enough to achieve a temporary advantage. The true measure of victory is the lasting impact it leaves. A wise person considers the broader picture, anticipating the consequences of their choices on relationships, reputation, and future opportunities. By thinking strategically, they navigate challenges in a way that achieves their objectives without causing unnecessary harm. In life, as in war, a single wise move can accomplish more than 1,000 impulsive ones, leaving the path clear and the integrity intact. Another dimension of achieving victory without scars is empathy. Understanding the perspective, motives, and feelings of others allows you to navigate conflicts without unnecessary friction. When you approach challenges with compassion and insight, you are able to resolve tension without hostility. This does not mean weakness or submission. Rather, it is the use of understanding as a tool to achieve your goals while maintaining harmony. The ability to balance assertiveness with empathy creates solutions that satisfy both your objectives and the dignity of others, resulting in triumphs that leave no wounds behind. Finally, achieving victory without scars requires the cultivation of patience, resilience, and foresight in every aspect of life. It demands that you resist the temptation to seek immediate satisfaction at the cost of long-term outcomes. It requires that you maintain composure when provoked, think before you act, and prioritize integrity over fleeting advantage. The person who masters these qualities becomes untouchable in the face of conflict, capable of winning where others fail, and achieving results that are both effective and honorable. Victory without scars is the art of moving through life with such skill, discipline, and wisdom that you accomplish everything necessary while leaving nothing broken in your wake. Influence is stronger than force. Many people mistakenly believe that victory comes from overpowering others, from shouting louder, pushing harder, or exerting physical or verbal dominance. They think that control can be asserted through intimidation, aggression, or sheer strength. Yet real power is not measured by the volume of your voice or the weight of your actions. It is measured by the effect you have on others, by the way your presence and your character shape the decisions, behaviors, and attitudes of those around you. Influence does not require a battle because it works quietly, subtly, and persistently, often achieving results that force could never secure. To understand the power of influence, one must first recognize the limitations of force. Force can coerce, compel, or intimidate, but it cannot create genuine commitment, respect, or loyalty. Those who are controlled by force comply only because they fear the consequences of defiance. The moment the force is removed, the compliance disappears. Influence, on the other hand, creates alignment without coercion. It inspires cooperation, shapes perception, and motivates action from a place of respect rather than fear. The person who walks in influence moves others without ever having to raise a hand or speak harshly, because their authority is rooted in wisdom, integrity, and clarity of purpose. Influence begins with character. People are naturally drawn to those who demonstrate integrity, calmness, and discernment. A life lived with consistency, honesty, and self-control becomes magnetic. Others look to such a person not because they are forced to, but because they admire and trust the example set before them. Influence cannot be purchased or demanded. It must be earned through behavior that inspires confidence and credibility. The more you invest in cultivating your character, the greater the influence you naturally command, and the less you will ever need to rely on force to achieve your goals. Another element of influence is wisdom. The wise person understands that words, actions, and decisions carry power far beyond their immediate effect. They know how to speak in ways that resonate, how to guide without pushing, and how to lead without intimidating. Influence is the result of insight applied with precision, timing, and empathy. When you understand the needs, fears, and motivations of others, you can shape outcomes quietly and effectively, often achieving goals without opposition because those affected feel that the solution aligns with their own interests. Influence transforms opposition into cooperation because it appeals to reason and respect rather than fear and compulsion. Patience is also crucial in building influence. Force demands immediate results, but influence often grows slowly, over time, through consistent example and careful guidance. The person who seeks influence understands that lasting change cannot be rushed. They nurture relationships, build trust, and allow others to recognize their authority naturally. By exercising patience, They create a foundation that withstands challenge, conflict, and criticism. Unlike force, which may create temporary victories, influence establishes long-term alignment that endures even when circumstances change. Influence also empowers others. When you lead through force, you suppress initiative, creativity, and commitment. When you lead through influence, you inspire action and participation. Those influenced do not act because they are compelled. They act because they see the wisdom, clarity, and integrity of the one guiding them. Influence produces results through collaboration rather than coercion, creating environments where people are motivated by vision and respect rather than fear. This is why influence is far more powerful than force. It multiplies impact rather than restricting it. Finally, influence secures silent victory. You do not need to fight every battle, argue with every opponent, or prove yourself in every situation. The person who walks in influence achieves outcomes that others cannot even comprehend because the power they wield is invisible yet undeniable. People may not see the effort behind it, but they feel the effect. Influence shapes the world around you in ways that force cannot, creating harmony where there could have been conflict, alignment where there could have been opposition, and victory without struggle. Mastery of influence allows you to move through life achieving your objectives while elevating those around you, leaving a legacy that force alone could never create. As we stand at the threshold of understanding, it becomes clear that the greatest victories in life are not won by the loudest voices, the strongest fists, or the sharpest weapons. True triumph is achieved in silence and restraint, in the mastery of self, and in the application of wisdom. When you govern your mind, calm your heart, and act with discernment, you rise above every challenge, every opposition, and every conflict without ever having to engage in battle. The art of silent victory teaches us that influence surpasses force, patience surpasses aggression, and peace surpasses chaos. Life rewards those who choose mastery over reaction, foresight over impulse, and integrity over compromise. To win without war is to walk a path of excellence, to command respect without intimidation, and to achieve results that echo far beyond the moment. The person who embraces these principles becomes unstoppable, unshakable, and undeniably powerful because their victories leave no scars, yet shape the world in ways that last a lifetime.